again, Outside the Box Reviews, Giant Monster Mania. We were taking a look at the Kyoto Revoltech SciFi Anguirus figure. Anguirus, another great kaiju that's never been done by Monster Arts, but back before Monster Arts, Revoltech did a version. I was lucky enough to track one down for a pretty good price considering what he goes for these days, and I'm very excited to take a look at a super poseable action figure of my favorite kaiju. So let's jump right in. Now all Revoltech figures come with a little nameplate, and this isn't Angurus's. This is actually for Daimajin, but I can't find Angurus's at the moment, so we're just gonna use this as an example of what they basically look like. It's a nice little triangular stand, has the text, the name of the character, I believe the movie, and the year the movie came out up here on the front, and they are hollow on the back. We also get the little Revoltech box. I don't really know why they always give us a box, even when the figure doesn't really need to store any parts, but it's a nice little orange translucent box with some holes at the top, so I guess if you wanted to keep, I don't know, crickets in here or something, you could. We also get our Revoltech coin, which is standard with all these figures, 10 Revoltech points. I think if you get 10,000 of these, you can trade it in for 10,000 Revoltech coins. So yeah, I think one Revoltech coin is worth exactly one Revoltech coin. But the absolute coolest piece Angurius comes with is the Moonlight SY3, the space shuttle from Destroy All Monsters. This was the shuttle to the moon. This thing is beautifully done. Nice little cockpit there. It's a great silver plastic with blue and red detailing. Thrusters there on the back. It's a crazy looking spaceship, and they just knocked it out of the park and made a great little sculpt of it. I'm a sucker for these little vehicles to go with my kaiju figures, and even though there's probably less uses for Moonlight SY3 than some of the Super X figures and things like that, still awesome to have a piece like this. And then we get the SY3's display base. It's the exhaust coming off the spaceship. So we have the big cloud here at the bottom, which is really nicely detailed, nice grays. It's a whole translucent piece. So we go up here, we get more flame effect, and then we get the more direct exhaust here at the bottom. So what we gotta do is plug our SY3 here at the top, and it's blasting off, heading for the moon. Because we know in 1999, we had daily trips to the moon. Destroy All Monsters told us so. But really cool display piece. Not really related to Angurius in any way, shape, or form, outside of the fact they were both in the same movie at one point, but a cool accessory nonetheless. So Angurius is a Revoltech figure, which to me always means one thing. A cool looking figure with very noticeable joints, which is a problem sometimes and not a problem other times. Angurius is kind of a mixed bag in that respect. I love the head sculpt they did on him. Very cool looking. This is of course more based off his Destroy All Monsters and later appearances as opposed to his original appearance where he looked a little rougher than this. We have a nice crown of horns on the top of his head, great detailing around his eyes, some nice scales and everything on him, horn on his nose. We open his mouth up, you can see the nice red detailing on the inside, even a nice rough texture on the roof of his mouth. We have the membranes there at the back of the throat, his big fangs sticking out. I love the jaw, also has that curve to it that the costume did. And more great scale details going down the neck. The neck itself is pretty seamless. I mean, obviously there's seams, but they're not super noticeable or they don't stick out too bad. So when you get down here to the shoulders, we have the very obvious Revoltech joints in there that really break up this great scaly detail for some just very noticeable joints. And that's always bugged me on Revoltech figures, but I think because they did such a nice scale texture here, it really stands out. The overall paint is great though. It's this kind of beigeish color, but they added some really cool darker detailing in there to bring out all the great scale effects. Scales even get kind of sharper here on the wrists. Then we have his flat front feet for both bipedal and quadrupedal motion. So no thumbs or anything, just 4 fingers. Here at the back, we have, of course, Angurius' most recognizable characteristic, his big spiked shell, covered in lots of great spikes. I love the detail on here paint-wise, just that it's pretty darn clean for what it is. The spikes do have a dirty look to them, but there's not a whole lot of paint slop that I can pick out easily between the spikes and the base of the shell, which is great. This is a softer rubber piece, so the spikes are no real danger of breaking off or anything like that. And it is kind of weird when you get down here to the articulation point that it's firmly attached to the upper body and kind of hovers above the lower body. So depending on the pose you put him in, it can look a little strange. Coming down here to the legs, more great scaly detail. We've got more kind of rougher spikes here at the back of the legs. Of course, his rear feet looking a lot like his front feet. He has his tail coming back here with a nice kind of ridge going down the sides up at the top. top. There are kind of random spikes going through it as it goes towards the end, and this flatter, smoother section here at the bottom with the segments through it. Overall, I think a really, really nice sculpt for this figure. Now, the visible joints, this has got to be a really nicely articulated figure, right? Well, it mostly is, actually. The jaw, of course, is on a hinge. The head is on a Revoltech joint. Most of it's on Revoltech joints. So we got a nice ball-jointed motion here at the neck with a nice ratchet to it. It can also swivel. We can turn that Revoltech joint and have it hinge in different directions if we want. Similar joint here at the base of the neck, so you can look further up or further down, which of course is important when you have a character that shifts between 2 and 4 legs. Revoltech joints at the shoulder, so they go forward, back, as well as out to the side. So we can kind of maneuver that around to get whatever motion we need out of the upper arm. We'll also kind of swivel in and out here. Revoltech joint at the elbow, kind of replicating a double jointed elbow, which has a pretty good range of motion, which once again is needed for this figure. You can hinge as well as rotate at the wrist. We can hinge at the waist, forward and back. We probably could go further back if it wasn't for the shell. Even though it's rubberized, it really doesn't want to go much further back than this. I can kind of get it to go. And of course we can swivel that as well. The rear legs will move forward and back. Not a huge range, but decently. The way it's sculpted here at the hip, it kind of juts out, so you can't get the leg to move too smoothly forward. Can also rotate at the hip. A really nice joint there at the knee. I love that the upper leg kind of goes over it to look more like a covered up knee than just a big gaping hole, which is really nice. You do have a joint at the foot where it'll go forward and back as well as swivel and pivot. One more Revoltech joint here at the base of the tail, and then the rest of the tail is on a bendy wire, so you can kind of bend it however you want it to go. And here's Angurius as best as I can get him in a bipedal stance next to the Godzilla Jr. Rebirth version on the left and the Monster Arts Godzilla 64 on the right. So you can see he's pretty well in scale with the 64 Godzilla from Monster Arts. Definitely a little short compared to the Heisei version, but also never shared any screen time with him either. And here we have him in his quadruped mode next to the Revoltech Gigan and the Japanese Bandai Anguirus figure. And he's definitely shorter than his vinyl counterpart, that's for sure, but much, much more detailed and a lot cooler looking. And I think he's in pretty good scale with Gigan, which is important since they did fight each other. And I've got to say, for being a kaiju figure I was really interested in for a long time and kind of waited to find the right price for, I was a little nervous if this piece would live up to my high expectations for it. And I think overall it has. I do really enjoy this figure. I have some gripes though. I really dislike how visible the Revoltech joints are. I feel like the articulation that is there could have been a little better utilized. Revoltech, of course, has their style of joint and they use it, but there are places where I feel like it would have been better served to just do it a different way, either with just more traditional ball or hinge joints or something else. And I think they could have really made the figure something super special. But it's still a good figure, and I'm still gonna recommend it. I just can't help but think that if Monster Arts remade it, it would be a spectacular piece. Make sure you check me out on Instagram, username Outside the Box Reviews. Also follow me on Facebook, link below. And until next time, this has been our Outside the Box Reviews Giant Monster Mania. Stay tuned for more to come.